Hi, good afternoon. Once again, it's Shakespeare's Corner. For today's vlog, it's Thursday here in the UK and it's July the 7th. No, 6th actually, July 6th. And for today's video, we'll be continuing on tips on how to answer questions while you're having an interview or you're a job hunting or looking for a job. So like on the previous video, I had told you possible questions and how you're gonna answer them. So for today's vlog, I will be doing the same thing. So we're gonna be continuing again with the video on how to answer, tips on answering and following guidance on how to nail a job interview. So I'll be giving you some tips and ideas on what you're about to tell the interviewer about things when they ask you questions. So this is vlog number 2. So today, let's pretend that you are attending on an interview and the interviewer will be asking you like questions. These are possible questions that I'm pretty sure it's 100% that employers will ask you. First is, this is always the question they always ask. Are you applying for another job? So meaning, when the employer asks you, the interviewer asks you, are you applying for another job, is they wanted to know how serious are you on your application for the job role vacancy they have in the company. And also, they wanted to know how committed you could be or how long is the processing if, like, for example, you're already applying for another job and then you're just waiting to hear from the company. So they wanted to weigh that. They wanted to see if you're really serious with the job that you are applying for. So that is the reason why they asked you the question. And as I said, you can tell them that, how you're gonna tell them is you can say, you can be truthful to them. You can say, yes, I've applied for a few jobs, but of all the job I had applied for, this job opening you have really attracts me. So this is what I really want to do in the future. So you can say that by saying it, that the job that you saw, that you're with them, is a job that you wanted. So that is a good question, that you're giving them a positive feedback and they wanted to know that you're really committed. So another possible questions that they're gonna ask you is, this is very common. I think most of you guys who have been on the interview before or doing job hunting and all, and then you went for a panel of interview, they would ask this question: how do you handle pressure? So that question on how do you handle pressure, so it's telling you, it's asking you, and they wanted to find out how can you cope pressure within the job role that you are taking on board. So for example, if they ask you that, you can honestly say, during the past, on my previous experience, we all go to a stage that we will be under pressure due to the job load or projects that are not finished or the completion date is not coinciding what's supposed to be on the time scale wise. So you can be honest on those, and then you can add also, you can say to them, but learning from that, reflecting on the previous experience I had about under pressure of tackling pressure with work, is I stay calm, I remain calm, and I handle the situation better now that as I grow matured and having this experience previously with the with being under pressure with time scale of completing a certain project. You see, the difference is you can be truthful to them that we all go to a stage, we all face that we face under pressure in a job load. So depending on what role, what job you are going through, even those who works in the shops or who works in the retail, they also receive pressure against their workload and all. So yeah, you can be truthful about it, saying that yes, you did experience under pressure before, basing on the experience, but as you grow older, as you become more effective on the work that you've carried it out, you manage to be calm, remain calm, and control the pressure. So that's what the employer, the interviewer wants to hear from you, that no matter how pressured you are, they want to make sure that you are in control and top of your game in tackling the situation. So that is just a tip from me. That's how you're gonna tell them and communicate with them. So another possible questions they're gonna ask you is, they might ask you this, I think, not only might, but 100%, they're gonna ask you, do you work alone or independently, or are you able to work in a team? So if they ask you that, obviously, some of us likes to work alone. So some people are being very productive of working alone, or they work independently. But when they ask you that, you have to be truthful once again. So you can say this, I can either both work being independent with the task or workload I have to undertake, and I can also work in a team. So I am a team player. I'm good at working with other people. So you see, you're telling them not only that you're able to work alone with very minimum supervision, but you are also able to handle the pressure of working in a team. So if you've been working with lots of people, there's always pressure. And you know what the pressure is working as a team. How are you gonna build, let's say for example, you've got a project, you were given a project. So if you put yourself into that scenario, you're gonna be tackling like, oh, how am I gonna handle, how am I gonna work with a team? I mean, giving your ideas. So that is what they want to hear from you, that you are either good in working independently without supervision or very minimal, or you can work as a team. So they want to know you. So they wanted to find out that you are that person. And lastly, this is very common. They're gonna ask you, how much salary are you expecting? Now, everybody is not capable, or they got a mental blackout when the interviewer will ask you, what are your expectations when it comes to salary? So some like, oh, so they have to think. Now, my tip, the way I can say this is, before going on the interview, as I said before, you need to research. You need to know how much that job role is opening, because I'll tell you one thing, all job has got a budget. So you have to know how much they're offering, and you were there because you know how much they're gonna pay you. You have to be truthful and realistic with the numbers, because every company knows how much is the budget for that job role. So you should be prepared, and you need to know what you're gonna say when that question arises, how much we're gonna pay or how much salary you're expecting. So you must know what your bull figure target is, and stay within what's on offer, because if you go more, they're not gonna be interested. It's because they don't have the budget for that one. So if you stick on the budget and discuss about it, then there is a moving forward on. So again, this is Shakespeare's Corner, and I hope you've learned something from a few questions and tips on how to answer a good interview. And